All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation. And that is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus a so called black man who only came for the Israelites. You so called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, primarily here in the Western Hemisphere, but also to the rest scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth, who look like the other nations, but through the patrilineal lineage go back to the Hebrew Israelites. All right. And I seen this and I fact checked it, and it looks to be coming true that Florida is going to make gold and silver legal tender, meaning you can purchase with gold and silver. Okay. Now, in its current state, the bill has been passed. Now it's waiting for the governor, Ron Santos, to put it into legislation. Okay? And just a quick side note, your assets will not deliver you or save you. Okay? Because I know a lot of you people who've been collecting gold and silver is thinking to themselves, now is the time it's going to pay off. Okay? But we're here to tell you, as the mouthpiece, the servants of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that your assets, gold, silver, real estate, whatever, but in this case, particular gold and silver, it will not save you. Okay? America, Babylon the Great will be destroyed. Thus saith Yahweh. Okay? So let's read this article from 10th Amendment, and it headlines, to the governor, Florida passes bill to make gold and silver legal tender. Okay? We may look up that word tender, legal tender, okay? Because now you can purchase things with your gold and silver if this is passed through the legislation, and it has its benefits, okay? Because when you purchase things of $500 or more with your gold and silver, there's no tax on that, okay? So let's say you go to the dealership and you want to buy a car for $40,000, there's no tax when you use gold or silver, okay? Now, I'm sure you probably have to fill out a form or what have you, but the government is willing to pass the tax off to what? Collect that gold and silver, okay? Because they want to compensate your gold and silver by all means necessary. And if they have to not tax you over $500 or more, meaning if you purchase anything of $500 or more with your gold coin or bar or your silver coin or bar, you don't have to pay any taxes, okay? And I know a lot of gold and silver enthusiasts is jumping for joy, okay? Because they're thinking to themselves, finally, our investments is looking to pay off, okay? Now, I can only speak for this being the case for Florida. I'm not sure if there's any other states in America that's getting ready or has already passed the bill and put it into law that gold and silver is now looked at as legal tender, okay? So we go on and we read a little bit more about this article. It says, the Florida legislature has passed a bill that would officially recognize gold and silver as legal tender. You see? So the bill has been passed, okay? It just has to get checked off by Governor Ron DeSantis and put into legislation, okay? Then these businesses, these corporations would have to accept your gold and silver as legal tender. And another side note, this is actually also opening up the avenue for businesses, or should I say, other forms of revenue, such as Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or XRP, okay? Because a lot of these assets like Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, and they too are looked at as somewhat of a, I don't want to say solid investment, but an investment nevertheless as being better than the current fiat currency that we currently use in the form of the dollar. Okay? So by opening up this door or this avenue, it opens up many more, okay? To what? Allow Bitcoin to come through and get put into legislation to allow cryptocurrency. You see? Because they look at as blockchain as something that's more reliable and transparent, as where you can see every transaction that has been committed, or should I say, performed on that blockchain, okay? So this is monumental in one aspect, and then on the other, it's like the hell with it, man, because they only giving you these things because they get ready to take this system, this monetary system, into a new direction, okay? So short-lived is going to be your gold and silver before they actually, bring in that beast system, okay? So, yeah, a lot of people, especially Floridians, and it may just be just for Floridians, okay? You may have to be or have a house or have residency in Florida in order to buy and sell with gold and silver, okay? Who knows what's in this bill? I believe it's HB, which stands for House Bill 999, okay? So it goes on to read, the Florida legislature has passed a bill that would officially recognize gold and silver as legal tender and repeal state taxes on their exchange. You're not paying state taxes on it. I don't think you get how profound that is. You don't pay taxes on precious metals. See, that's the thing why they had the Gold Confiscation Act. Because now, through the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, they can tax that dollar. But they can't tax precious metal. Or at least over $500 worth. Okay? You see, this is giving you people false hope. And we're here to tell you that, hey, this place is done for. Even if you do have a little bit of prosperity, it's going to be short-lived, man. Okay? See? And that's going to bring up another precept in mind. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5 and verse 7. Abaratazak, we're going to get that. Okay? Let me see if I can highlight this word legal tender and do a web research on it, or a web search. Okay, this says legal tender. These are results for legal tender. Legal tender refers to any form of currency or coin that a government legally designates as acceptable for payment or debts. Okay? A lot of people will get out of debt with this passing uh bill to now make gold and silver legal tender. Because why? That tax isn't going to eat up your precious gold and metals because there won't be any taxes over a certain amount, which I believe is $500. Anything over $500, they will not tax you on that gold or silver. And I'm going to get that to show you. It says it's essentially the official money that a country or jurisdiction must accept for settling debt and financial obligations. Okay? So that is what legal tender is. And now they're trying to put this bill into legislation and make it official in Florida, in the state of Florida, to what? Use and accept gold and silver as legal tender. Okay? You see? So Florida is trying to be that standout state above the rest of the 49 states here in America. Okay? Which if this passes, a lot of snowbirds are going to make Florida their permanent home. Okay? Because a lot of these snowbirds, especially these retirees have gold and silver. Okay? So guess what? They're going to look to buy houses because why? They ain't going to have to pay taxes on them, man. Okay? They're not going to have to pay taxes. All right? You purchase a house down here in Florida for $250,000 or $500,000 and you use your gold and silver, that's non-taxable. You don't have to pay taxes on that. See, these snowbirds, these retirees, they're going to cash in on this deal, man. All right? So, yeah. And we here to tell you that your assets, which is gold and silver, will not save you, okay, from the day of calamity, all right? So back to this article, it says, the bill now heads to Governor Ron DeSantis' desk for his consideration, okay? Under House Bill 999, H999, Slovakia, I said HB when it's just H. It says sponsored by, I believe that's Republican or Representative Doug Bankson and Republican Monique Miller. Gold coin and silver coin would be recognized as legal tender in the state for the payment of a debt. The bill includes an expensive definition of coin to include a round, bar, ingot, or bullion coin, which is valued for its metal content and is stamped or imprinted with its weight and which consists of at least 99.5% purity. Okay? So this is what's going to constitute as a what? Payment of debt. Okay? It has to be stamped. It has to be imprinted with its weight. Okay? And it has to be at least 99.5% purity. Okay? So this is April 29th and the day is May the 6th. So this was a few days ago. It says the Senate unanimously passed the bill by a 38-0 vote on April 30th. The House concurred with the Senate amend version in a unanimous, so without a shadow of a doubt, basically 113-0 113-0 vote, completing the legislative process and sending the bill to Governor Ron DeSantis for consideration. Okay? So if it gets passed into a bill, into a law, that's it, man. Okay? That's what these snowbirds, these retirees has been waiting for, man. to cash out their 401k, their pensions, because a lot of those pensions and 401ks are pegged or tied to gold, man. Okay? They may take that little hit and go buy up some gold, man. Because why? They going to make a big purchase, man. Maybe a house down here in Florida, or maybe some type of restaurant or something where they don't have to pay taxes, okay? It says, in practice, particularly speaking, this would allow Florida residents to use gold or silver as money rather than as a mere investment vehicle. See? So you ain't going to have individuals using their gold coin to go inside a grocery store and buy $40 worth of groceries, because why? It doesn't benefit them for that, okay? These gold coins and silver coins are going to be used as vehicles to purchase large investments, property, for example, land, for example, okay? Because you won't pay taxes on that, okay? Let's go down to that part and read that, okay? Give me 1 second. That's the part in here that says taxes. Removing taxes. H999 would repeal all sales taxes on any gold coin or silver coin that is legal tender in this state, Florida. Under the current law, sales tax is not charged on gold and silver transactions above $500. H999 would remove that threshold. Taxes on precious metal, bullion erect barriers to using gold and silver as money by raising transaction costs. Okay, so I might be wrong. You might not have to pay any taxes for any purchases, whether $500 or more. You see, I was under the impression that if it's over $500, if you have gold and silver, you don't pay taxes. But now they saying under this bill H999, you don't pay taxes on anything, okay? So this gives credence to what? 2 Ezra 16:21. Victuals shall be so good cheap. If you ain't got to pay taxes on them, that's going to be cheap. You getting it for market price. You don't have to pay taxes. So you got a house. Let's say you go and you negotiate a house that was running for, let's just say, $300,000. You talk that person down to $150,000, and then when it's time to close, and they say, "How are you going to purchase this?" The deal has already been solidified that the price is $150,000, and then you tell them you're going to use gold. There's no taxes, okay? It's just however much gold is for that time. You know, if gold is $5,000 an ounce and you got 16 ounces, you do the math, man. Okay? 16 times 5,000 is what? Let's see. Give me 1 second. Because they saying gold may reach 5,000. And some is projecting it to reach all the way up to 10,000, man. So I know a lot of you gold and silver enthusiasts is, licking your chops at this, man. But it's only going to be short-lived, okay? So let's just say gold reaches to $5,000 an ounce. And let's say you got a 16-ounce bar. 16 times 5,000 is $80,000, man. Okay? Times 2. So you just need 2 gold bars valuing or weighing 16 ounces. If gold is $5,000 an ounce, and you could pay off that house that you negotiated from $300,000 down to $150,000. Okay? So you can see how a snowbird / retiree is going to love this bill if it gets put into legislation, okay? This is going to be their dream come true, man. And it's all going to be short-lived, man. Okay, so it says, taxes on precious metal, bullion erects barriers to using gold and silver as money by raising transaction costs. Imagine if you ask a grocery clerk to break a $5 bill and he charged you a 35-cent tax. Silly, right? After all, you were only exchanging one form of money for another. But that's essentially what a sales tax on gold and silver bullion does. By eliminating this tax on the exchange of gold and silver, states treat gold and silver specie more like money. This support the use of gold and silver in transactions and breaks down the Fed's monopoly on money. See, so we got to see how Governor Ron DeSantis is going to play this thing, man. Okay, because he may get a call up from the Fed. Okay, they're telling him to shoot that bill down, man. Okay, but then on the other hand, if he wants to get reelected in 2 years, hey, he might have to pass that bill. Okay, so we shall see if this bill that has been passed is going to be put into legislation, and gold and silver will now be accepted in the state of Florida as legal tender. Okay, now let me go to that AI overview I had on $500 or more. There's no taxes. Okay, give me 1 second to look for that. All right, and I typed in, can you get taxed for using? What did I put? Can you get taxed for using gold and silver over $500? And the AI, the article or what came up was tax-free precious metals. There is no tax on sales of precious metals in any form above a value of $500. Okay, so that may be already into effect right now. Okay, but the limitations of where you can use this is limited because why? Gold and silver isn't accepted as legal tender everywhere. Okay, but if this bill, which has now been passed, gets put into legislation, guess what? In the state of Florida, you can buy gold. I mean, you can buy whatever you can buy. Whatever you want with gold and silver, okay? Usually you use gold for your more expensive purchases and you use silver for your less expensive purchases. That's how it usually goes, okay? Gold is valued more than silver, so gold would be for your bigger purchases and then silver would be for your lesser purchases, okay? You want to go buy a few pairs of shoes, okay? You use silver for that, okay? You want to buy a car, you would go and use gold for that, okay? But none of it's going to be taxed, man. Okay? And like I said, I believe you would have to fill out a form, in order to not be taxed at the end of the year. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that, okay? So that's where we at. Your assets won't deliver you or save you, okay? No matter how good you think times are going to get now, okay? They're not going to save you, man, because it's all going to be short-lived, all right? So let's get a few precepts going into that, all right? Give me 1 second. All right, this is the book of James, chapter 5 and verse 3. It reads, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Okay, now this is going in particular to the elites of this society, but hey, you peons can adopt this same mentality because why? Your gold and silver is cankered, man. All right, it's going to heap rust and eat at your flesh in these last days because you're going to think to be what? In good times, okay? That's why Second Esdras is pivotal, okay, to knowing. Because you're going to think that America is going to prosper now. And it's just going to be for a short period of time, man. Okay? If they pass this bill, which they did, and put into legislation, it's only going to be short-lived, all right? So you're going to think to be in good conditions, okay? 2nd Ezra 16 and 21. It reads, Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. When you ain't got to pay taxes, you get it for what the market is, or even lower or lesser if you have the negotiation skills. And then on top of the negotiation skills, there's no taxes because it's precious metals. Man, I mean, you might make off like a fat cat. Okay? So it says, Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right? Because what good is your gold and silver going to do for you if there's nothing to purchase? Okay? Or if nobody can buy anything from you, because why? They can't afford it. So let's say you don't purchase a house to rent out and you got it for a steal because you use gold to purchase it. Now, guess what? You trying to make money on it and, put it up on an Airbnb type of website and charge $1,500 a night or however much. And there's nobody to come purchase it because why? Jobs are at an all-time low. Nobody can work to pay it. You see, so now you got all this revenue and income not doing anything because you can't rent that house out. Okay, why? Because there's nobody to come rent it. Okay? Unless somebody else have gold and silver. All right? But for the most part, gold and silver is scarce, man. It ain't like you once could go to the bank and exchange your money for gold and the teller or go back there and bring you out gold. No, they don't keep gold and silver at the banks no more for the most part. All right? You probably have to put in an order. Yeah, I would like $5,000 worth of gold bullion coins. All right? But that's why you got certain dealers, and they on YouTube, I can think of one, ITM. They sell gold coins, man. They've been using that mantra for the longest, man. Buy gold. Don't invest in the dollar. They say buy gold bullions, like coins, okay? So, hey, you might be able to purchase some from them, all right? But hey, their prices are getting ready to go up. All right? So you're gonna be sitting on those investments, but nobody can purchase them because there's no money, there's no jobs. Why? Because of famine. Okay? So you may be, to extent making off like a fat cat, but the people around that you're looking to sell to ain't, man. Oh, you selling for $1,500? How about $600? You gonna want to take over 50% 50% hit to put that room into use? You might have to, especially if it's been sitting for a while. You might have to come down 55, 56, 60%. All right? So just because you can get away with not having to pay taxes and victuals being so good cheap, don't mean it's gonna benefit you in the long run. Okay? Because in a society where everybody doesn't have that luxury of owning gold or silver, and for the most part, the people here in Florida, outside of the retirees and the snowbirds, they don't know too much about investing in gold and silver and the benefits of it. Okay? So unless you got people coming from out of town, and that may work. But nevertheless, the case is, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. All right? That they shall think themselves to be in good case. Oh yeah, I just bought a house for $150,000, $200,000, no taxes. This house goes for anywhere between $400,000 and so. So you may try to sell that house for $300,000 and get you a nice $100,000 profit, man. All right. Gold and silver is going to put a lot of people in that false sense of security. And that's what Ecclesiasticus 5 and 7 comes into place. Okay, let's read it. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5, Salakia, in verse 7. It reads, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. See, we telling you that your gold and silver ain't going to be the catalyst, the key catalyst to delivering you and saving you from the impending doom that's coming to this place, America. You see? But all it takes is one bill to be passed and put into legislation for you to think that good times are on the horizon. When that could be when that couldn't be farther from the truth, man. It's nothing but pain and misery coming to this place. But you see, you can't tell Jake that, especially those of our people that buy into this whole system and sitting on a large amount of gold and silver. Okay, they see a payday coming off pretty soon, especially here in Florida. They see a payday coming off, all right? Little do they know, it's only going to be short-lived, only for a little time, all right? Until they say what? You got to trade in all that gold and silver to what? Get this new digital system, okay? So how are you going to buy, how are you going to purchase things when the only way to use tender in that time is going to be whether or not you have that microchip implanted inside your wrist. So let's say you got the amazing steal of a lifetime, $1 million house for $250,000. How are you going to get the transaction put into you if the person you're transaction from don't have gold or silver and they only have the chip? Well, guess what? You're going to have the chip too. You see? So you may have your gold and silver, but you're going to have that microchip as well, because that's the only way you're going to be able to complete the transaction. All right? Not everyone is going to have gold and silver to transact transactions. Okay? You're going to let $500,000 go because you don't have that microchip? No, you're going to get that chip, man. Okay? You're going to get that chip because you got to understand, as a business person, you want to keep as many avenues or options available as possible. Gold and silver is one way, but to really capitalize on it, you're going to need that microchip, okay? Because not everybody has gold and silver. But see, everybody's going to have that microchip because it's going to be a global, worldwide transaction process. Okay? Gold and silver may only take you so far. Okay? It won't be the leading world reserve currency. Okay? It's going to be that charagma, that mark. All right? That device the size of a grain of rice. That's going to be accepted worldwide. Okay? Whether you want to buy a house or whether you want to buy a loaf of bread. Okay? They're going to accept that microchip. Okay? They won't accept gold and silver, all right? How are they going to give you your money back? Let's say you go to the grocery store and you use a silver coin, and your groceries come up to, with inflation, it may be $300. You got two coins that's silver worth let's just say $500 together, $250 a piece. You got $500 and your groceries is $300. Well, how do you expect them to pay you back the $200? They're not going to give you $200 worth of silver back in return. No, they're going to put it onto your chip. Okay? And if you don't have your chip, well, guess what? You lose money. Okay? See how long you're going to last like that. All right? Not wanting to take the chip. You see? But losing in return almost 50% of your investment. Okay? You ain't gonna last too long. It's gonna be only a matter of time for you come get that chip. All right? So there's no escaping. Prophecy is what we're trying to tell you. So it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and Put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security. Oh yeah, I got gold and silver. I'm good now. And in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. You see? So yeah, you may have gold and silver, and it may get you through a period of time for a moment, but eventually that time is going to run out, and in your security, you're going to be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance, right? Which is why your gold and silver won't save you, okay? When America gets destroyed, Babylon the Great gets burned up by ICBM missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, your gold and silver will not save you in that time, okay? So you're going to lose eventually, okay? It's just a matter of time, all right? So you may think victuals should be so good, cheap. You may think in your security having gold and silver, you getting away like a fat cat, but eventually it's gonna catch up with you, man. Because nobody outruns judgment, okay? That's what you fail to realize. Nobody outruns prophecy and judgment, okay? Those are two things you can't outrun, man. All right? You can't escape your lot, and you can't escape prophecy. Prophecy dictates that America will be destroyed, okay? No amount of gold and silver is going to save you in that time. When the missiles come, you can't say, "Here, Lord, here's all my gold and silver I have left over. Let me get a spot on the chariot." No, that's not how it works. You have to be chosen and of the elect, and you have to be doing the work and have faith in Yahushua as the Savior, not your gold and silver. All right? So this is the time we in. Your assets won't deliver you. Okay? So I think that's going to be it. And we're going to finish up with 1 Peter 5 and 8 and read. It reads 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. Be sober, okay? Knowing that, yeah, you may use your gold and silver for a time being to get you through if you've been lucky enough to have some. But we all know where it's all leading to, okay, eventually. Okay, so that's why you have to have this truth. As it says in Isaiah 33 and 6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Not gold and silver, wisdom and knowledge that you can only get from out of the words of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai shall be the stability of thy times. The fear of the Lord is his treasure, not your gold and silver. He could care less. So 1 Peter 5 and 8 tells us to be sober. Know these things, okay? Yeah, it's going to seem good for the time being, all right? But like all good things, it has to come to an end, man. Okay, you cannot escape prophecy. You cannot outrun your lot. All right? If you're meant to be destroyed, this gold and silver may be the catalyst to bring in you to be destroyed. Because why? You're going to have to eventually get that chip. Okay? So it says, be vigilant. That's why we watch. That's why we report these things to you, to let you know ahead of time so you can get prepared and get yourself right. All right? You got to get your temple prepared, your mind right. All right? That's why we tell you, constantly examine yourself, whether or not you be in the faith. Okay? You have to repent. Okay? And keep the law, statute, commandments to the best of your ability. All right? These are the things that's going to give you favor, and that's going to head you from the times that's coming. Jacob's trouble. So it says, be sober, be vigilant. Why? Because your adversary, the devil, see, he may let's put that bill into legislate and let gold and silver be legal tender. Give them a lot of rope to hang themselves with. See? And the more you are investing something, the more it's going to hurt when you have to lose it. All right? That's why we don't care about this place, man. Okay? That's why we are willing to lose our lives for Yahweh's sake. Okay? We could care less about this place. We're just trying to get our daily bread. Give us this day our daily bread, not our weekly or monthly or yearly bread. Give us this day our daily bread. Okay? That's what we are concerned with. And then we know eventually we ain't gonna have no bread. We gonna have to completely rely on Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai to get our daily bread, to get whatever we need. And he's gonna keep us in that time, because why? We kept his word. Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept my word in patience, I will also keep thee during the hour of temptation. So you see, it says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Oh yeah, let's put this bill into legislation and let Florida be a guinea pig on other states that want to adopt this bill and make it into legislation to allow gold and silver to be legal tender. Okay, because the more they feel comfortable at home with their security, that gold and silver, the more they invest, their life savings into. And then when it comes down to us introducing the microchip, they're going to have to make a conscious decision, because they're not going to force this on you. Okay, they're not going to force it on you. You're going to make this decision on your own. Or so you believe that's going to be you making a decision. But it's Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, whether or not you're a reprobate or not. If you're a reprobate, you're going to take the chip. And if not, you of the elect, you won't. Okay, even if you have gold and silver, because why? You're going to be willing to lose it all. St. Matthew 19:29. And everyone that has forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or lands, roughly paraphrasing it, for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold. Okay? You may have purchased lands because it was so cheap you didn't have to pay taxes. You see, but the elect know that when they make that chip mandatory, that's the end. We losing everything. Okay? And we good with it. All right? Because why? We've been building ourselves up in the faith for this moment, this time. Okay? We're going to use this system, but not abuse it. What's that? 1 Corinthians 7:31. Use it, but not abuse it. You see, we going to make good what we can make of it. But then when it comes to time to make that decision on whether or not we're going to take the chip or lose everything that we think we made, we're going to lose everything that we think we made here in this society, because we know this society, this kingdom, America, is going to be destroyed. And there's nothing worth keeping and saving here in America, because it's all going to be destroyed. And furthermore, we're going to get everything we lost here in America back, and then some, if we lose it for Yahweh's sake. Okay? So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. All right? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom. Peace.